Gaffer, pre-season's over. We're about 24 hours away from our first competitive match. Excitement's building around for an exciting season ahead.
Yeah, I mean we're all looking forward to it. There's been some issues in the run-up to the first cup game. Obviously, it's a competition I always want to do well, and it's a very special competition for Thistle. But obviously the league's a big one. We're still light on a few bodies, everybody knows. But yeah, I mean, listen, the excitement is there. I think having the fans in the other night at the friendly was fantastic, and you know, we've got to, any time we get one or two bits of bad news, we've got to keep cracking on forward to take the club forward and have another really, or do our very best of another really successful season.
Through pre-season we've had 3 different friendlies that have been open to the public. We've also had a bounce game amongst ourselves, and they were all tough matches in different ways. Yeah,
they were great. I mean, I thought we did well in the vast majority of all of them. I've always said they're a necessary evil, these games. It's about getting players game time, and you know, our hand was forced for various reasons which we'll probably go into, but yeah, I was pleased with everybody's level of fitness. Some were still carrying wee things from last season because of the amount of games we had, but I was really pleased with how they went about it.
As a manager, I know you've wanted more games and more time, but do you feel that we're perfectly ready to go and start the Premier Sports Cup?
Yeah, listen, I wouldn't say in this day and age during the pandemic, I don't think anybody's going to be perfectly ready. I'm sure I know we're not. So, but listen, it will be competitive. We'll have a good team in the pitch tomorrow, and hopefully by the time the first league game comes on, we'll have more bodies.
Against East Kilbride especially, we had something like 8 or 9 academy trained players, and they all got their first taste of first team action, from the likes of Mason McCready in goals to younger players like Jai Stevenson, Ollie Black and Xander McKenzie. Yeah,
well listen, I'm really optimistic about that. I know supporters, not just of our club, all clubs love to see players coming through, and you know, we've put young James Lyon out on loan to Stennismuir for a season, and we hope to do that with Billy and Gospel, who got the winner in that game you talked about. This group of players that are coming through, I think it's a realistic shout to say within 2 years I would love to have it, you know, including the 3 we've got just now. I think there could be a possibility of having 4, 5, even 6 players that have come through our system, through the academy, you know, in contention to play in our first team, and I wouldn't put them in if I didn't think they were good enough. The good thing is they all see a pathway now, and I hope they all stay with us. I've had a chat with all of them, and I'm sure they will. And there's a clear pathway to get in our first team. I think, you know, it was a hard one putting James out because I felt he could contribute, but for his development, we would hope that James Lyon and Billy Owens, and to a certain extent Gospel if he keeps improving, will all be ready to be in our first team squad next season, and maybe Billy and James possibly starters. So it's really encouraging, and it would be great for Scott and Kanja and the guys at the academy. I think Fozzie's doing a lot of work now with them, so it'll be great for them. But to see maybe 5 young players starting a first team game for Thistle in a year or 2 would be fabulous.
It's also a testament to the hard work done by the academy when you consider that for those guys the last year has been even more disrupted than what first team football.
Yeah, I mean, it's all credit to them, all credit to Scott and Kanja and the guys that really drive it, and you know, I wouldn't put the young players in if I didn't think that they were capable of handling it. I mean, I didn't need to put them on against Rangers. I didn't, you know, the funny thing was against Rangers that you know, I spoke to Stephen about it there. We had most of our first team players in the first half, brought on all the young kids, and they brought on their kind of heavy hitters in the second half, but they coped really well. I think I got a bit leggy towards the end, but I'm really optimistic about it. I'm really enthusiastic about it. You know, I go to see a lot of the games and the training and stuff, and the main thing for young players is they must see a way where they can play in our first team, and I think they all do that.
You've managed to add another goalkeeper to the squad. Harry Stone joins on loan from Hearts. It's one we've been talking about, it's been in the offing for a while. Did we just have to wait for Craig Gordon to come back from the Euros?
Yeah, that's what all about. I mean, he did really well at Albion Rovers last year, and I know Hearts have got real hopes for him. I mean, it reminds me a bit of Ross Doohan when I took at that age at Ayr, and he's got that stature. We wanted a different tech goalie. Snedge is doing really well. We wanted a different tech goalie. You know, I think big Harry's about 6'2", so there'll be real competition for them. But all I can say is that Robbie and Craig Gordon, who I spoke to, have got serious hopes for the boy, that in a couple of years he'll be. I mean, Craig can't, if he doesn't mind me saying, he'll not go on forever. He's top notch. They see him as a guy that might have a chance to be their number 1. So, you know, hopefully he'll have a good season with us. Both goalies have got 2 games in the League Cup, and then we'll see who gets the nod for the first league game.
Through pre-season, we've not had everybody fit and available for all games. We saw Scott Tiffany come back on Monday. Is there anyone else that's potentially coming back tomorrow?
We've had I think it's inappropriate to name people, but we've had a number of COVID issues, people with it, people self-isolating, and that's what's happened. But Tiff came back, Rudden's back in the squad tomorrow. There's one or two others not quite there yet, but they should be back training by Monday, and I think one's back on Thursday. So we're the same as everybody else. There's a lot of it out there. We need to be really vigilant, and we are at our club. But sometimes people get it, and we just have to get through that. So there's been one or two issues with that, but it's the same for everyone.
Stuart Bannigan picked up a knock in the first couple of days of pre-season. Again, he's managed to get through his little knock and come back and play on Monday as well.
I thought he was magnificent. But I mean, the thing about Stuart was it was his banjo. It was his. I think he was overcompensating because he had to play last year. Same as Dockett. Dockett's chest still isn't right, but I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks they'll be fine. But they were overcompensating for injuries they received at the back end of last season.
The one potentially bit of bad news is maybe Darren Brownlee.
Yeah, it is. There's two players that have got proper injuries. They're not to do with COVID. Shea Gordon went over on his ankle, but he should be fine, I would say, for the start of the league season, maybe even before that. Darren's got another scan on, Jordan told me it's either Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe Wednesday, to find out what actually needs done, and it might be a bad one. It might be not career threatening, but certainly if it is what it might, we think it may be, then it would be months rather than weeks. So it's tough for us. I regard him as I wouldn't swap him for any centre back in the Championship. And that's why I signed him, and I think he's good enough to play in the Premier League now. But he came back from an injury before, and I'm sure he'll come back again. And listen, we're not ruling anything in or out yet, though. It might be good news, who knows? But I would say Thistle fans brace themselves not to see Darren just for a wee while yet.
The one positive light on the injury front is seeing Tam O'Weir come back into the squad and play games after what was a horror year for him last year. Yeah,
it was horrible for him, and he's come back and he's trained well, and he's played in the games, he's done well. I don't think there's any doubt one of the players we need to identify as a centre back. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Some might even say two, but certainly one. But he's done well, and long lamp may continue. I remember him at Morton, and he was a really good Championship centre back. So if he can get back to that, and the signs are very, very encouraging, but we won't rush him.
You've mentioned that you're a couple of players short in the squad. Is there anything that's imminent to happen? Or is it
I thought hopefully in the next week or so. I think we need a couple of wide players, maybe one direct, one creative, and I think we need a couple of defenders. We need a centre back, maybe a utility boy. So I'm making inroads into that, but it'll depend on a number of things.
It's always one when you're looking at other clubs. There's maybe Premier League clubs are not quite back yet because they maybe have Europe to prepare for a Premier Sports Cup, or maybe they've got a knock on from one of their players. Yeah. It's just a big chain at the times, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, listen, I don't think our club should fill their team with loan players. I mean, but if you try and get 2 or 3 really good loans, then it benefits us, it benefits the player, and it benefits the parent club. So that's something we'll look at. But I'd quite like to sign one more of our own players. And that's what I hope to do.
On Monday we welcomed fans back to Firhill for the first time in over 15 months, and for me personally, when the Rangers got the penalty and you could hear all the crowd moaning and complaining about it, that was the thing that we'd missed for the entirety of last season.
It was just a realism that Rangers always get a penalty against Thistle, but I mean I loved it at Kelty when I was welcoming fans and clapping them in, and it was just fantastic. And there'll be some here tomorrow as well, which it's just great. It's great for everybody. You see what it's doing in England just now. Not whether I'm happy with that is another thing, but you see the fans at Wimbledon, it just makes a huge difference. It's just great to see our supporters back at the game, and everybody will say that, but it is true.
Tomorrow is a socially distanced sellout at Firhill. Every ticket's been taken up. Season tickets, we're closing in on 1,800, so we're getting closer and closer.
We're getting there. I think in the years to come I'll be setting a target of beyond 2,000, because I think we're capable of doing that, but they're going really well. As you say, we're approaching 1,800, and the lucky person that buys the 2,000 season will get a very, very special gift from me.
Ian, thanks very much for your time, thanks for the update, and good luck for the season.
Cheers.